Welcome to Narrative Strokes. I am in desperate need of help. If anyone reading this could please give me some insight, it would be greatly appreciated. I'm aware that some or most of you may be hardcore horror fans like myself. That's why I'm coming to you with a serious problem. I've always been a fan of horror. I always enjoyed a good jump scare or a creepy feeling to keep me up. However, what I have been going through for the past 10 years is something I can't understand. I'm a 40-year-old man. I'm happily married, and I have 3 children who all go to different universities. Every year, my wife and I would get extremely excited around the fall season. The reason for that is particularly because we both love Halloween. We would always spend a good few grands on decorations and candy. We were known as the go-to house in our neighborhood for scoring a motherload of delicious treats. However, as I mentioned, something strange occurred 10 years ago. One night, my wife and I were enjoying a little quality time together when we got an unexpected knock at the door. I answered it and was nearly knocked off my feet from the sudden scare. When I opened the door, I was greeted by a large person in a yellow rabbit costume. They looked like a mascot. At close examination, the costume was a little unsettling. The head of the costume contained massive, cartoon eyes and ears that were quite long. The whole costume was pretty impressive. It looked like one of those full-body costumes you couldn't just find in a store. It was like one of those suits you would have to pay a pretty penny for online. The bunny held a small jack-o'-lantern bucket in his hands. He proceeded to hold it forward without saying a word. This is where the problem comes in. This happened in the early part of September. As you could imagine, we didn't have any candy to give the poor fellow. I didn't want to be rude. I thought this just could have been a confused person. There was no way it was a child. The person was huge. They had to have been at least 6.5 feet. I'm sorry, it's a little bit too early for treats. Why don't you come back in October? We'll definitely have something for you then, I said. The bunny simply looked down in his empty bucket, turned his back, and skipped along down the street. Naturally, we found the situation quite bizarre. This wouldn't necessarily be a cry for help if it ended there. The next time, it was late in December. Snow was practically pelting down on the town. That's when we received a knock at the door. I answered and was greeted by the bunny-suited individual again. The suit looked visibly dirty, as if it hadn't been taken off in who knows how long. The funny thing is, this person never came to my house on October 31st, not a single time. I tried to be nice again and told the person there was no candy. I also told him he should probably find some shelter from the blizzard. There was no way I was letting him in my house. The next time it happened was in the middle of January. At this point, I was quite frankly getting a little bit irritated and uncomfortable. I even informed the local authorities of this guy. I could legally say he was harassing me in my house. All these years, the police never came up with anything. I let this go on for 5 years before we decided to move. One time, I even answered the door with my gun and threatened violence. Apparently, that didn't intimidate him in the slightest. After we moved about 2 miles on the other side of town, we thought it was over. For a few months, nothing happened. Until one day, I got a knock at the door. I didn't think it would be him, because everything seemed fine. We didn't have any problems for a while. However, when I answered, it was surely the costumed rabbit person again. His costume was completely filthy. I could see large accumulations of dust and spider webs. I could even see little spiders crawling over his body. It was as if the costume was beginning to rot. No matter how many times I threatened violence or snapped on the guy, he would always come back. This is what I need help with. A few days ago, he came back. I was reluctant to answer the door. It never worked before anyway. This time, when I answered, I could see splats of a dried, red substance along his mouth and torso. I just wanted this encounter to be over with, so I reached into my pocket and handed him some peppermints. Surprisingly, he shook his head to say no. I have to admit that I'm stupid. For the first time in 10 years, I asked him the question I never thought to ask. What do you want? His body went still for a few seconds. Then he extended his bucket towards me and gestured for me to look inside. I nearly vomited at the sight. Inside his bucket, there was a heart. For my own conscience, I choose to believe it wasn't a human heart. But I have doubts. In an act of defense, I punched the bunny right in his face. His soft cotton head went flying into my front lawn. What I saw then has kept me up ever since. Under the mask, there was nothing. There was no person. It was just empty. I looked over in the yard at the discarded head. I swear for a split second I saw the head blink. Before I could even process what was happening, the body ran towards the head. It picked up its head and ran at inhuman speed. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to deal with this. I could honestly use some help. I've gone to the police. I've gone to my kids. Everyone thinks my wife and I are crazy. I'm desperate for help. I'm afraid that my life and that of my wife are on the line. Why? Because this morning, something was written on my front door. See you on Halloween. For one last time. I'm taking that as threat. We've already decided that we'll be leaving town for Halloween. I don't know if it will matter. What if it finds us like it did the first time? Why is it coming for us? What the hell even is it? If anyone has any solution or answers, please let me know. Halloween is quickly approaching. We're running out of time. And if a big yellow rabbit comes to your door on Halloween, or any time, slam the door in its freaking face. Thank you for listening to today's story. If you enjoyed it, then comment down below and let me know what you think. I'll see you next time with another story. Until then, keep smiling and don't forget to like and subscribe.